Hi, this is Lennox. On Valentine's Day, a few weeks ago, women across the globe took part in a unique event, 1 Billion Rising. As Eve Ensler said, the issue of gender-based violence will never be marginalised again. On International Women's Day 2013, I have a message. I'm in London right now, and I've just come back from South Africa, where I spent a few months. And not so long ago, there was the most outrageous case of rape and abuse and murder of a young woman called Anine Booysens. She's 17 years old. And it was so horrific that it gained attention in all the media, all the press, so that people were all talking about it because it was that bad. And the tragedy is that it sometimes takes a case that is that extreme for people to start waking up and remembering that the issue of rape and gender-based violence is absolutely endemic right across the whole country. So I read in the paper that there was going to be a demonstration held on the steps of St. George's Cathedral, which is right in the middle of Cape Town. And for the whole day I thought, shall I go to it? Shall I not go to it? What shall I do? And then I decided that I absolutely had to be there, just by myself, you know. I mean, I didn't come with anyone, except that I called up a friend of mine who's called Rhoda Kadali. And Rhoda and I went to the demonstration. After the demonstration, which was beautiful, very silent and dignified, small, but very moving. After the demonstration, Rhoda and I walked down the street, and she said to me that media had shown up, only a few, just a few papers and one television station. And she said, you know, they came because they heard that you were going to be there. And on the one hand, I was really pleased that the media were there. And on the other hand, it really made me sad because the issue itself has become so marginalised in a way in terms of the fact that it's so commonplace that it took somebody with a name, which I have, to show up and be present for the people to come and to try to give a voice to what was happening there. So Rhoda and I decided that we wanted to do something. We decided that we wanted to inspire people to wake up to the situation that's taking place. People in South Africa are fatigued, they're exhausted, they feel somewhat desolate and despairing really because they've seen that leadership in the country has been failing them for many years, and that very often the issues that they're facing every day are sidelined and they just carry on, and the people that live nice lives there are living in a nice bubble, and the ones who are outside of that bubble are living in really difficult circumstances. The factors that contribute to abusive, dysfunctional behaviour, violent, sexual abuse, rape, these kind of things, are manifold. And in my view, it starts with poverty. When people are living in completely inhumane conditions, where they are living in crowded shacks, in informal settlements and townships. People are very, very close together. The children are very often exposed to things that should have boundaries around them, but they don't see that happening. They see things that shouldn't happen, and they pattern it in their own behaviour, and they become not only the victims, but they also, when they grow up, they start to become the perpetrators of these things too. And as you drive from the international airport in Cape Town into the town itself, you pass the township of Khayelitsha, which is one of the biggest ones there, and you know that a huge percentage of the young men that live there have no future, they have no hope, they're not employable, they haven't had education, they haven't even passed matric. And there are issues with guns and violence and drugs and alcohol, and all of this plays into the bigger picture of abuse. Things happen in a way that should never take place. And it's hard for me to talk about it here because they're so shocking and unthinkable that, yeah, it's hard to talk about, but I will talk about it now on camera because it's part of the reason why I feel so strongly about the situation of violence. Of course, I'm focusing on gender-based violence because I'm a woman and I'm a mother, and I was the daughter of a father once. And I feel connected to the victims and survivors because of my gender. It makes my colour irrelevant. It's my gender that is my connection with this. There are many instances of abuse that start from the age of 0, from newborn babies all the way up to elderly women. And it's not rare, it's commonplace, it's happening. There are instances of abuse taking place between teachers and pupils, members of the police force who should be supportive and protective of people coming into the police station to say that they've been raped, are very often the secondary rapists themselves. And this happens on a national scale, and it urgently, urgently needs to be addressed. Many of the people who have been raped, when they take their case to court, it gets pushed out. The perpetrator gets off. And so there's a sense of impunity that this kind of level of violation can be done, and there's nothing, there's no punishment in a way for that. This urgently needs to be addressed. The system itself needs to have a sensitive structure that deals with these issues as they happen on a daily basis. It is completely wrong that a victim of these crimes goes to a police station and is abused, almost as if they were the ones who were the abusers in the first place. I don't have the answer because the issue is so complicated that it requires many, many actions. Our long-term goal is to centralize this issue of violence and rape so that everybody knows about it. We must take it out from the shadows, and we must start to make people accountable. We must start the dialogue so that people like Anine Boysons, the victims of these crimes, are never forgotten. It's simply an issue of human rights. If I were to try to simplify the message of the Make It Happen petition, it would be pretty simple in actual fact. We need to take the issue onto the table, and we need to make sure that it stays there. We need to inspire people to become personally aware and personally responsible, especially if they are in important positions in media and in government and in religious groups, where they are looked up to by, they're very influential people. They cannot just live in that country and act as if this is not happening. They have to make the change happen. We have to collectively be responsible for it.